A powerful winter storm system has taken control of more than half the United States. This bomb cyclone dropped 24 millibars in just 24 hours, intensifying from 1,000 millibars down to 975 millibars this morning. The storm is unleashing blizzard conditions across the Great Lakes. Ice accumulations exceeding half an inch are crippling portions of the Northeast. And this massive weather event is far from finished. Over the next 2 weeks, Arctic air will dominate the northern tier of the country. Multiple clipper systems will track through the region. Some areas near the Great Lakes could accumulate between 48 and 60 inches of snow when all is said and done. This represents a fundamental shift in the weather pattern that will persist well into the new year, likely through at least the first half of January. The information I'm sharing today comes from the latest meteorological data and model guidance. For your specific local area, I encourage you to check with your local National Weather Service office or trusted regional forecasters. What I'm providing here is the broader atmospheric picture and the general forecast trends affecting millions across the central and eastern United States. Around the 2-minute 45 mark, we'll examine why this particular atmospheric configuration is so significant. By minute 5, you'll understand the day-by-day timeline, and later, around the 18-minute point, I'll walk you through specific safety preparations that could quite literally save your life or the life of someone you love. The meteorological setup driving this prolonged winter siege involves the jet stream. Picture an atmospheric highway positioned unusually far south. This band of fast-moving air at high altitudes typically flows west to east across southern Canada. Right now, it has buckled dramatically, creating a deep southward dip. This configuration allows frigid Arctic air to spill directly out of Canada into the United States with nothing to block its path. When the jet stream locks into this amplified pattern, it resists change. The high pressure building over Greenland and eastern Canada acts like a boulder in a stream, forcing the flow to detour around it. This blocking pattern can persist for days or even weeks once established. All computer models show remarkable consistency in keeping this setup in place through mid-January at minimum. The immediate storm system we're tracking this Monday has officially qualified as a bomb cyclone. In meteorology, we use this term when a low-pressure system's central pressure plummets by at least 24 millibars within 24 hours. This storm exceeded that threshold. The rapid pressure collapse creates an intense suction effect, generating powerful winds and pulling moisture into the system at an accelerated rate. Think of it this way. When you pull the plug in a bathtub, water spirals down the drain. The faster the water level drops, the tighter and stronger that spiral becomes. A bomb cyclone works on similar principles, but on a massive atmospheric scale. The falling pressure at the storm's center draws air inward from all directions. That air has to go somewhere, so it rises rapidly, creating clouds, precipitation, and fierce winds that spiral around the low-pressure core. By Monday afternoon, this cyclone reached its peak intensity at 972 millibars. To put that in perspective, that's the kind of pressure reading we typically associate with major hurricanes, though the structure of this winter storm differs significantly from tropical systems. The pressure gradient, the difference in pressure over distance, became extremely tight. Where you see tightly packed lines on a weather map, you get strong winds. This storm created pressure gradients supporting sustained winds of 40 to 50 miles per hour, with gusts reaching 60 miles per hour and locally higher around the Great Lakes. The storm's track matters enormously. This system moved from the Central Plains on Sunday, intensified over the upper Midwest on Monday, and will continue spinning over eastern Canada through Tuesday and Wednesday. Its counterclockwise circulation, a characteristic of all low-pressure systems in the northern hemisphere, is pulling Arctic air southward on its western flank, while drawing warmer, moist air northward on its eastern side. This clash of air masses creates the complex and dangerous precipitation types we're seeing. On the cold side, heavy snow and blizzard conditions. In the transition zone, freezing rain and sleet. On the warm side, heavy rain, and even isolated severe thunderstorms. The numbers from this storm are staggering. Across portions of eastern Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan, snowfall totals of 6 to 10 inches have already accumulated, with more falling today. Some isolated locations in far northern Michigan could see 10 to 11 inches by the time this event concludes. The strong winds accompanying this snow, with gusts of 35 to 60 miles per hour, are creating near-zero visibility in many areas. When sustained winds exceed 35 miles per hour and snow reduces visibility below 1/4 mile for 3 consecutive hours or more, we have blizzard conditions. That's the reality across parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan right now. Lake effect snow will compound the problem. As Arctic air rushes across the relatively warmer waters of the Great Lakes, it picks up moisture and heat. That air rises rapidly when it hits the colder land on the downwind shores, producing intense bands of snow. These bands can drop several inches per hour when they're at peak intensity. Areas southeast of Lake Ontario and south of Buffalo could receive 1 to 2 feet of additional snow over the next 48 hours from lake effect alone. The ice situation in the Northeast demands your full attention. Freezing rain occurs when rain falls through a shallow layer of below-freezing air near the surface. The drops remain liquid until they hit cold surfaces like roads, power lines, and tree branches. Then they freeze instantly, creating a coating of ice. Ice accumulations exceeding 1/4 inch become extremely dangerous. At that threshold, tree branches begin breaking under the weight. Power lines sag and snap. Travel becomes nearly impossible. Parts of upstate New York and New England have already received up to 1/2 inch of ice accumulation. Additional freezing rain throughout Monday, particularly across central and northern New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont, will add another 1/10 of an inch or more in many locations. Let me be direct about what this means. Power outages are inevitable across the hardest hit areas. The combination of ice weight and strong winds creates a worst-case scenario for electrical infrastructure. If you live in the ice zone, prepare for the possibility of losing power for several days. I'll provide specific preparation guidance later in this forecast. Wind remains a threat across nearly the entire eastern half of the country today. Current observations show gusts of 40 to 50 miles per hour across the Midwest. As the storm continues moving northeast, those winds will spread into the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast through Monday afternoon and evening. Pennsylvania and New York could experience gusts of 50 to 60 miles per hour. Some locations near the Great Lakes might see even higher gusts approaching hurricane force. Wind advisories and warnings extend from Texas northward through Ohio. These aren't just numbers on a screen. Sustained winds of this magnitude will knock down weakened trees and branches, especially those already burdened by ice. Outdoor decorations, patio furniture, and unsecured items become projectiles. High-profile vehicles face dangerous crosswinds. Power outages will expand as wind damage compounds ice damage. Scripture speaks directly to situations requiring preparation. The writer of Proverbs understood human nature and practical wisdom. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 3 tells us, "The prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty." There's no fear in being informed and prepared. That's wisdom. Ignoring clear warnings and failing to prepare? That's the opposite of wisdom. The timeline for the rest of this week follows a pattern of reinforcing cold and additional snow events. Today, Monday, the bomb cyclone reaches peak intensity over the Great Lakes, with blizzard conditions, ongoing freezing rain in the Northeast, and strong winds spreading across the entire eastern tier. Tonight, temperatures will plummet behind the departing storm system. Minneapolis will drop from the mid-30s late Sunday to single digits Monday morning, then fall below zero Monday night. Philadelphia will see temperatures surge to nearly 60 degrees Monday afternoon before crashing into the 20s Monday night. Tuesday brings a brief relative calm, though lake effect snow continues in bands downwind of the Great Lakes.
A weak clipper storm will track from central Canada across the upper Midwest, bringing an inch or two of snow to parts of that region. Temperatures will remain well below average, with highs only reaching the mid-20s across the Great Lakes and Northeast. Feel-like temperatures, factoring in the wind chill, will stay 10 to 20 degrees below the actual air temperature. Wednesday, New Year's Day, the second clipper storm arrives. This system carries more punch than Tuesday's clipper, as it tracks from the North Dakota and Canada border area across to northern New England. It will spread snowfall across a larger area. Minneapolis, Chicago, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Albany, New York could all see a coating to a couple inches of snow with locally higher amounts. This won't be a major snowstorm, but it will maintain winter's grip and create slippery travel conditions right as people return to work after the holiday.
Thursday and Friday, Arctic air remains firmly in place across the northern states. Another round of lake effect snow will set up, with the bands shifting position as winds change direction. Buffalo, New York sits in a particularly vulnerable location and will likely get hammered by heavy lake effect snow on multiple occasions this week. The city could see band after band training over the same areas, leading to significant additional accumulation. Looking ahead to next weekend, January 3rd and 4th, the pattern shows signs of another potential storm system. Models indicate increased precipitation chances across the Northeast, possibly bringing more snow to the region. The confidence on this isn't as high as the current event, but it's something to watch. What we do know with high certainty is that the cold pattern persists. No significant warm-up appears likely through at least January 15th. Extended guidance, the 2 to 4 week outlook, suggests this atmospheric blocking pattern will be slow to break down. Once these configurations take hold, they tend to maintain themselves. The physics behind this involves atmospheric momentum. Large-scale patterns don't change quickly. They require a significant influx of energy to disrupt the established flow. For those interested in the meteorology, we're dealing with a negative phase of the North Atlantic Oscillation and a negative Arctic Oscillation. These are measures of atmospheric pressure patterns across the northern latitudes. When both are negative simultaneously, it favors persistent cold across the eastern United States and creates favorable conditions for coastal storm development. It's a pattern we haven't seen this strongly established in several years. What does this mean practically? It means winter has settled in for an extended stay across the northern tier of the country. If you live from the upper Midwest through the Great Lakes and into the Northeast, prepare for sustained cold and multiple snow events through at least the first 2 weeks of January, probably longer. Now let me break this down region by region with specific impacts for your area. Starting with Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. This region is ground zero for the worst conditions today. The southwestern part of Minnesota into central Wisconsin faces all-out blizzard conditions, visibility near zero. Winds gusting to 60 miles per hour. Snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour at times. Travel is not just difficult, it's genuinely life-threatening. If you're on the road and conditions deteriorate to whiteout, you cannot see the road. You cannot see other vehicles. You cannot judge your position. Multiple vehicle pileups become likely. Western Michigan and the areas immediately downwind of Lake Michigan and Lake Superior will see the heaviest snow totals from this event. 3 to 6 inches of additional accumulation is expected across most of western Michigan. Northern Michigan could see isolated totals approaching 10 to 11 inches by Tuesday morning. Power outages are widespread already and will continue expanding as the combination of heavy snow and high winds stresses electrical infrastructure. The Great Lakes region overall needs to prepare for a prolonged period of lake-effect snow activity. Every time Arctic air rushes across these relatively warmer lake waters, it picks up moisture. The temperature difference between the water and the air determines how intense the lake effect becomes. Right now, that difference is substantial enough to support very heavy snow bands. These bands are narrow, typically 20 to 40 miles wide, but where they set up, snow falls at impressive rates. Moving east into upstate New York, northwestern Pennsylvania, and New England, your primary threat is ice.
The hardest hit zone runs from northern and northeastern Pennsylvania through upstate New York into Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Ice accumulations of 1/4 to 1/2 inch are occurring across this region. In some locations, particularly near the border of Ontario and Quebec, Canada, including the capital city of Ottawa, ice accumulations could exceed 1/2 inch.
Let me explain why 1/4 inch represents a critical threshold. At that level of ice accumulation, the weight on tree branches and power lines becomes enough to cause widespread damage. Trees that appeared healthy yesterday will have major limbs snap off today. Power lines coated in thick ice sag lower and lower. When the wind picks up, which it will, those ice-laden branches and lines start swaying. That's when they break. Cities like Bangor and Portland, Maine, Albany and Binghamton, New York, Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Burlington, Vermont, you're in the highest risk zone. Even if you only receive 1/10 or 2/10 of an inch of ice, that's enough to turn every road and sidewalk into a skating rink. Black ice will be prevalent. You won't see it until you're sliding on it. Power outages lasting multiple days are extremely likely across this region. The southeastern Great Lakes, including Cleveland, Detroit, and Buffalo, sit in a transitional area. You're getting a mix of everything: heavy snow at times, brief periods of sleet and freezing rain, then back to snow, then lake effect snow on top of all that. Buffalo's location makes it especially vulnerable to prolonged lake effect events. Depending on wind direction, the city can get buried under bands that park over the same area for hours or even days. For the major cities from Boston to New York to Philadelphia and south through Baltimore and Washington, your experience with this storm is primarily cold rain and high winds. While you're not dealing with the snow and ice like areas to your north and west, don't underestimate the impacts. Rainfall totals of 1 to 3 inches fell Sunday night into Monday across this corridor. That creates hazardous road spray on highways, reduces visibility, and can cause localized flooding in areas with poor drainage. The greater concern for these cities comes Monday night and Tuesday. As the Arctic front sweeps through, temperatures will crash. Philadelphia, you'll go from nearly 60 degrees Monday afternoon down into the 20s by Tuesday morning and struggle to reach freezing Tuesday afternoon. That rapid temperature drop creates a flash freeze situation. Any standing water on roads and sidewalks will turn to ice within minutes. Morning commuters on Tuesday will face treacherous conditions. Boston and New York, you'll experience similar temperature crashes Monday night into Tuesday. New York City will see snow flurries on New Year's Eve with temperatures in the low 30s, but feel like temperatures in the teens due to gusty west winds. For those planning to be in Times Square for the celebration, understand that standing outside in those conditions for extended periods creates real risk of hypothermia if you're not dressed properly. The Ohio Valley, including cities like Columbus, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and Louisville, you're on the southern edge of the primary snow zone. You'll see snowflakes flying today with a dusting to perhaps an inch of accumulation in most areas. The rapid temperature drop is your main concern. Temperatures in the 40s Sunday night will plunge into the 20s and teens by Monday evening. Kentucky might even see some light snow today, which is notable given that the same areas saw strong thunderstorms just last night. Moving south into Atlanta, Charlotte, and the broader southeast, this weather pattern represents a dramatic change from what you've experienced lately. For the past week, you've enjoyed temperatures in the 60s and 70s, running 10 to 20 degrees above normal. That's ending abruptly. By Monday night, temperatures will drop into the 30s and 40s. Highs through much of this week will stay in the 40s to mid-50s, with a persistent breeze making it feel even colder. This might not sound extreme compared to what the northern states face, but it's a significant shock to systems not acclimated to cold. Exposed pipes become vulnerable. Plants that were doing fine last week might suffer damage. And the psychological adjustment from near 70-degree weather to the 40s happens fast. Houston and the Texas Gulf Coast, you'll experience a similar pattern. Near record highs in the 80s over the weekend will be replaced by highs in the 50s and 60s starting Monday. Again,
Not extreme cold by northern standards, but quite a change for your region. Now, having laid out what's happening and where, I want to shift to the most important part of this forecast: your safety and preparation. Winter driving deserves your complete focus. The posted speed limit on any highway assumes ideal conditions: dry pavement, clear visibility, good traction. None of those conditions exist in winter weather. When you see snow falling or ice on the roads, you need to cut your speed substantially. I'm talking 15 to 20 miles per hour below the posted limit at minimum. More if visibility drops or conditions worsen.
The reason is mathematical and physical. Your stopping distance on icy pavement increases by a factor of 3 to 9 compared to dry roads. On dry pavement at 50 miles per hour, a typical vehicle needs about 200 feet to come to a complete stop. That same vehicle on ice might need 1,800 feet. Your skill as a driver doesn't change these physics. Experience doesn't override momentum and friction, or rather, the lack of friction. Following distance must increase dramatically. The standard guidance in good conditions is 3 seconds between your vehicle and the one ahead. In winter weather, make that 8 to 10 seconds. Pick a fixed object like a sign or bridge overpass. When the vehicle ahead passes it, start counting. 1001, 1002. You shouldn't reach that object before 8 to 10 seconds elapse. Avoid sudden movements. No hard braking. No abrupt steering inputs. No rapid acceleration. All of these can break your tire's tenuous grip on the slippery surface and send you into a slide. Smooth and gradual applies to every input you make with the steering wheel, brake pedal, and accelerator. If you do start to slide, your instinct will be wrong. Most people want to slam on the brakes. That locks your wheels and you lose all steering control. Instead, ease off the accelerator. Steer in the direction you want the front of the car to go. Don't overcorrect. Small, measured steering inputs. If you have anti-lock brakes, which most modern vehicles do, you can apply firm, steady pressure to the brake pedal and let the system pulse the brakes for you. If you don't have anti-lock brakes, you need to pump the brake pedal manually to maintain some rolling friction. Here's the reality. If conditions have deteriorated to the point where you're sliding regularly or visibility has dropped to near zero, get off the road. No destination is worth your life. Find a safe place to pull completely off the roadway, a parking lot, a rest area, even a gas station. Wait out the worst of the conditions. Yes, you'll be late. Yes, it's inconvenient. But you'll arrive alive. Keep an emergency kit in your vehicle throughout winter. At minimum, you need a blanket or sleeping bag, flashlight with fresh batteries, first aid kit, water, non-perishable snacks, ice scraper, small shovel, sand or kitty litter for traction, and a phone charger. If you slide off the road or get stuck, that kit might keep you alive until help arrives. Dress in layers even for short trips. If you break down or get stranded, you need to be able to stay warm. Synthetic or wool layers work better than cotton. Cotton loses all insulating value when it gets wet from snow or sweat. Wear a warm hat. You lose significant body heat through your head. Gloves or mittens are essential. Frostbite can occur on exposed skin in just minutes when temperatures drop below zero and wind chill is factored in. Home preparation starts with your pipes. Any pipes running through unheated spaces, crawl spaces, attics, or exterior walls are vulnerable when temperatures drop below freezing for extended periods. Let faucets drip slightly. The moving water is harder to freeze than standing water. Open cabinet doors under sinks to allow warmer air to circulate around pipes. If you have outdoor faucets, they should already be shut off from an interior valve and drained. Your heating system needs attention. Change or clean the filter if you haven't recently. Have the system serviced if it's been a while. You do not want your furnace to fail during a cold snap. Have a backup heating plan. Space heaters can help, but they require vigilance. Never leave them unattended. Keep them away from anything flammable. Don't run them overnight while you're sleeping unless they have automatic shutoff features. For those in the ice zone, power outages are coming. You need to prepare now. Fill bathtubs and large containers with water. When power goes out, so do electric well pumps. Even if you have municipal water, pressure may drop. You need water for drinking, cooking, and flushing toilets. 1 gallon per person per day for drinking and food preparation. More for sanitation. Food supplies should include items you can eat without cooking. Peanut butter, crackers, canned goods that can be eaten cold, granola bars. If you have a gas stove, you can still cook if you light burners with a match. But many homes have electric stoves that are useless without power. A camping stove can work, but only use it in a well-ventilated area. Never use a grill or camping stove indoors for heat. The carbon monoxide will kill you. Flashlights and batteries, lots of them. Candles can work but present fire hazards. LED lanterns are safer and last longer. Charge all phones and portable battery packs now while you have power. A battery-powered or hand-crank radio lets you receive weather updates and emergency information when internet is down. Medications. If you or family members take critical daily medications, ensure you have at least a week's supply on hand. Sometimes weather delays pharmacy deliveries or prevents you from getting out to pick up refills. Check on your neighbors. This matters. Elderly folks living alone are particularly vulnerable during power outages and extreme cold. A quick knock on the door to make sure they're okay and have what they need can save a life. Offer to share resources. Offer to let them shelter in your home if their heat goes out. Community isn't just a nice idea. It's how we survive difficult situations. The Bible reminds us in Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interest, but each of you to the interest of the others. When winter storms strike, we have an opportunity to live out that calling, to check on neighbors, to share supplies, to offer shelter or warmth. These aren't burdens, they're blessings. Cold weather health risks are real and often underestimated. Frostbite occurs when skin and tissue freeze. Fingers, toes, nose, and ears are most vulnerable because they're farthest from your core and have less blood flow. Warning signs include numbness, white or grayish-yellow skin, and skin that feels unusually firm or waxy. If you suspect frostbite, get into a warm environment immediately. Don't rub the affected area. That can cause more damage. Immerse it in warm, not hot, water around 104 to 107 degrees. Seek medical attention. Hypothermia is even more dangerous. It occurs when your body loses heat faster than it can produce it, causing your core temperature to drop below 95 degrees. Symptoms include uncontrollable shivering, confusion, slurred speech, drowsiness, and eventually loss of consciousness. Older adults and young children are most susceptible. If you suspect hypothermia, call 911 immediately. Move the person to a warm environment. Remove any wet clothing. Warm them gradually with blankets. Offer warm, non-alcoholic beverages if they're conscious and able to swallow. Wind chill makes cold weather far more dangerous. When wind hits exposed skin, it carries away the thin layer of warm air your body creates at the skin's surface. The stronger the wind, the faster you lose heat. With temperatures around 0 degrees and wind gusts of 30 to 40 miles per hour, frostbite can occur on exposed skin in under 10 minutes. That's why those feel-like temperatures matter. They're not just numbers for comfort. They're actual assessments of risk. Dress in layers when going outside in cold weather. Base layer should be moisture-wicking material like synthetic fabrics or merino wool. Middle layer provides insulation. Fleece or down work well. Outer layer should be windproof and water-resistant to protect against wind and precipitation.
Cover your head, face, and hands. A scarf or neck gaiter over your nose and mouth helps warm the air before it enters your lungs.
Limit time outdoors during extreme cold. If you must be outside, take frequent breaks to warm up. Watch for signs of frostbite or hypothermia in yourself and others. Don't ignore what your body is telling you. If you start shivering uncontrollably or feel excessively tired or confused, get inside immediately. Shoveling snow poses its own dangers, especially for those with heart conditions. The combination of cold air, physical exertion, and the strain of lifting heavy snow can trigger heart attacks. If you have heart disease or high blood pressure, talk to your doctor about whether you should shovel snow or hire someone to do it. If you do shovel, take it slow. Take frequent breaks. Push snow rather than lifting when possible. Lift with your legs, not your back. And stop immediately if you feel chest pain, shortness of breath, or excessive fatigue. Carbon monoxide poisoning kills people every winter. It's an odorless, colorless gas produced by burning fuel. Furnaces, water heaters, fireplaces, and vehicles all produce it. When these are working properly and properly vented, carbon monoxide exits safely, but malfunctions or improper use can cause it to build up indoors. Never use a generator, grill, or camping stove inside your home or garage. Never run a car in an enclosed garage, even if the door is open. Install carbon monoxide detectors on every level of your home and test them regularly. Symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning include headache, dizziness, nausea, and confusion. If your detector goes off or you suspect exposure, get everyone outside immediately and call 911. As we look at the extended forecast beyond this immediate event, the pattern remains hostile through at least mid-January. Temperatures will run 10 to 15 degrees below historical averages across the northern tier of the United States. Additional clipper storms will bring periods of snow every few days. Lake effect snow will continue creating localized heavy accumulation downwind of the Great Lakes. The southern states will see a continuation of cooler than average temperatures as well, though nothing as harsh as the north experiences. You might see occasional nights dipping below freezing in places that have been quite mild lately. Protect sensitive plants. Disconnect and drain garden hoses. Know where your main water shutoff valve is in case a pipe does freeze and burst. Models continue to indicate that this blocking pattern remains firmly established. High pressure over Greenland anchors the whole setup. The jet stream stays displaced to the south. Arctic air has an open highway into the central and eastern United States. We might see brief 1 or 2 day moderations, but no sustained warm-up appears likely through January 15th at minimum. Some guidance suggests this could persist into late January. For those wondering about long-range climate patterns, we're in a La Niña phase. This refers to cooler than average sea surface temperatures in the equatorial Pacific Ocean. La Niña winters typically feature colder and snowier conditions across the northern United States and drier conditions across the south. This winter is following that script fairly well so far. La Niña patterns can last anywhere from several months to over a year. Current predictions suggest this one will continue through at least early spring. There's a possibility of coastal storm development in the week of January 6th through 10th. When you have very cold air in place across the interior and a storm system tries to move up the coast, you get the potential for significant winter storms affecting major cities. These setups can produce heavy snow for the I-95 corridor from Washington to Boston. The models aren't in strong agreement yet on exactly when or if this will happen, but the overall pattern supports the possibility. This is something to monitor closely as we move into next week. For planning purposes, if you have travel scheduled for early January, build in extra time and have backup plans. Airlines will likely face delays and cancellations during winter weather events. Highways become parking lots when snow falls heavily. What should be a 4-hour drive can turn into 10 hours or more. Or you might not be able to make the trip at all. Schools and businesses across the affected areas should prepare for potential closures or delays throughout the first half of January. Snow days are likely. Remote work options make sense when travel is dangerous. If you're an employer, consider the safety of your workers when deciding whether to open. Asking people to risk their lives driving in a blizzard to get to work is not reasonable.
Let me remind you of Matthew chapter 6, verse 34, where Jesus teaches, "Therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." This isn't a call to be unprepared. It's a call to focus on what you can control today. You can prepare your home. You can stock supplies. You can check on neighbors. You can reduce your driving. You can dress appropriately for the weather. Do those things. Then trust that you've done what you can.
Worry and anxiety don't add a single hour to your life or stop a storm from coming. But practical preparation, guided by wisdom and faith, can see you through safely. There's a difference between fear and prudence. Fear paralyzes. It makes poor decisions. It hoards resources and ignores others. Prudence assesses the situation clearly and takes appropriate action. It prepares wisely and helps others do the same. The book of James chapter 2, verse 15 and 16 says, "Suppose a brother or a sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, 'Go in peace, keep warm and well fed,' but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it?" Faith in difficult times isn't just prayer and positive thinking. It's action. It's checking on the elderly widow down the street. It's sharing your generator with a neighbor who has medical equipment that needs power. It's opening your home to someone whose heat has gone out. These storms test not just our infrastructure, but our character. They reveal whether we'll pull together or pull apart. I urge you to choose community over isolation during this difficult weather pattern. We're all in this together. For those with pets and livestock, don't forget their needs. Pets need to be indoors during extreme cold. Their fur coats help, but they're not sufficient protection when temperatures drop below zero. Livestock need shelter from wind and precipitation. Ensure they have access to unfrozen water. This often means breaking ice multiple times a day or using heated waterers. Increase feed during cold weather. Animals burn more calories trying to stay warm. Wildlife struggles in extreme winter weather too. Bird feeders help. Suet provides high-energy food that birds need. Water sources become scarce when everything freezes. A heated bird bath can make a real difference for wild birds trying to survive. As we wrap up this detailed forecast, let me summarize the key points one more time. A bomb cyclone has brought blizzard conditions to the Great Lakes and dangerous ice accumulations to the Northeast. This storm will continue impacting the region through Monday night. Behind it, Arctic air settles in for an extended stay. Multiple additional snow events are likely through at least mid-January. Power outages are happening now and will continue, especially in the ice zone. Travel remains dangerous across the entire northern tier of the country. Your most critical actions in priority order. First, avoid unnecessary travel today and tomorrow if you're in the affected areas. Second, prepare for potential power outages if you haven't already. Water, food, heat, light. Third, check on vulnerable neighbors and family members. Fourth, dress appropriately for the extreme cold if you must go outside. Fifth, monitor local forecasts for updates specific to your area. This detailed information I've provided comes from analyzing the latest data, but your local National Weather Service office and regional forecasters will have the most accurate details for your specific location. Please check with them for local timing, specific amounts, and any watches or warnings in effect. We will continue to monitor this evolving situation closely and provide updates as conditions change. Weather patterns this persistent and significant require ongoing attention. Check back regularly for the latest information.
God gave us the capacity to reason, to prepare, and to help one another. The scriptures in Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6 remind us, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight." Trust doesn't mean inaction. It means taking wise action while relying on God's strength and guidance. As we face these challenging weather conditions in the days and weeks ahead, may you find the wisdom to prepare well, the strength to help others, and the peace that comes from knowing you've done what you can and trusting God for the rest.
Stay safe, stay warm, look out for one another, and may God bless you and keep you through this winter storm and the cold pattern that follows.